love, hope, and faith with Heather Murdock.
Well, good morning and welcome to Love, Hope, and Faith. And as you can tell, I am not Heather Murdock. I am a guest host. My name is Pastor Mark Lehman. I pastor the Church of the Nazarene in Sutter Creek, and I have the privilege of being Heather's pastor. So I get to fill in as a guest host today, and a very, very special episode. And I know that you will be excited to hear this and hear some stories. One of the things that's been happening, obviously we've been consumed with in our county, in our community, in Calaveras and Amador County, is the Butte Fire. We've seen the tragedy, but out of the tragedy, the fires have been some amazing stories of what's taken place in the lives of people and families. So my guest today as guest host is somebody who has just a remarkable story that's come out of the fire. So, would you welcome my guest, formerly the host, Heather Murdock.
Hi, Mark.
Heather, welcome to your show.
I don't know if I liked how you said formally, because I'm coming back to that seat.
Oh, did I say that? I'm so sorry. That was a slip there.
No, I am so grateful that that we're doing this today. Thank you, that you're willing to be the host so that I can share what God's been doing in my life.
I just felt, and maybe it was from the Lord, I don't know, but I sensed really strongly that it'd be good for you to share your story.
Yeah.
And so if I could interview you,
yeah,
you could have freedom not to feel compelled to kind of do your normal stuff, but just talk through your amazing story. Because really this is an amazing story that has happened in within the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
So your listeners need to hear the big picture of Heather Murdock, her life, and what God's doing now in and through the Butte Fire.
It's amazing. You know, in the Bible it talks about beauty from ashes, and I mean, it's so true. It's the truth. God really and literally has made beauty out of the ashes of this Butte Fire. And like you said in the beginning of the show, not just my story, but many people have stories. And I'm just grateful that I can share what God's been doing in my life.
Yesterday, I took some of our staff from church, and we went and helped out in Calaveras Food Bank for a little bit. We went to Mountain Ranch.
Yeah.
And we just drove through Railroad Flat Road and down Jesus Maria Road, and the devastation is just remarkable. It's unbelievable. It's
ravaged.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like a war zone.
It does.
It really does.
And my heart just breaks to see people and what they've lost, and to hear the hurts. But again, I believe that God has the ability to take the tragedies of life and bring his triumph when we allow him to. And
That's
so
right.
as we think and as we walk with people through all the hurts, we also know there's some amazing stories that are happening. So Heather, today I want you to share your story, but I think it'd be good for us to get a little context for us to, your listeners, to maybe hear a little more about your life. So rewind Heather's life back maybe several years to when you grew up and where you grew up and how this fire has such personal meaning to you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I grew up in Calaveras County, in fact, in Mountain Ranch. My parents, we moved from San Diego, I think it was like 1976. And my parents, you know, the word that, you know, is the easiest to describe, my parents were hippies. They were a product of the 60s, and, you know, they grew up, they both came from very traditional conservative homes. My dad's father was an engineer, and his mother, my grandma, was a homemaker. In fact, it's interesting, I just found out recently that they weren't initially Christian. I think they may have grew up in a Christian home, but they weren't practicing. But they would drop their kids off on Sunday mornings at church. You hear that a lot from that generation. So they dropped my dad and his brothers off at church, and so then finally they got baptized, and so the family then became Christian family. But you know, my grandparents, they had their own hurts in their lives, and were learning about their faith. And so my dad, as a result of that, you know, he had some hurts too, and and my mom as well. As parents, sometimes we break our kids, you know, because we're broken, not intentionally. But as I listen more to the storytelling in my family, I see the generational hurt that just kind of gets transferred down to generations. And so my parents, forsaked the times and decided to move up to Northern California, bought a 40-acre parcel of property with no running water on it, no electricity, no home on it. They just had a dream to live life on their terms. And so I grew up in a teepee, in a school bus. I grew up, there were times we lived in, my dad converted his truck into a camper. We lived in a camper. We lived in a trailer. I never, Mark, had a traditional home until I moved out. And we didn't, like I said, no electricity. I like electricity. This girl likes electricity. No electricity, no running water, outdoor plumbing. That was how I grew up, really living off the land.
How would you describe the relationship or the emotions or just the atmosphere of your home life growing up there in the teepee or the bus?
Well, there were great times. I mean, and I attribute a lot of who I am today because of growing up like that. And as a kid, however, it's not so great. As a kid, you don't want people to know about that. I mean, I did everything I could to pretend at school like I had a normal family life. It was really far from normal. There was a lot of families who lived out there too, on the ranch, as we called it, that owned property, that all lived that same way. But really, Mark, from an early age, I wanted to disassociate myself from that because I yearned with everything I had to be normal. I wanted to be like the other kids. And, just like as I said in the beginning of the show, my dad had some hurts, and my mom did the best she could with navigating through my dad's hurts. We all did, but there was a lot of dysfunction. I don't even know what a normal family is. But yeah, there were a lot of hurts. And then when I went to school, I was a pretty shy, awkward kid. I know you may find that hard to believe.
Not going to comment that.
But I was very shy, painfully shy, very socially awkward. I wore big, thick glasses. I was that kid that was picked on quite a bit. So I guess I share that to say that at home there was struggles, and then at school there were struggles. So as a result of that, I really didn't feel very lovable. I had a sense of worthlessness quite a bit growing up.
Yeah, and that probably will manifest itself later on in your life in different ways. So it's you and your mom and dad, and you had a sister too.
I had a sister, Willow. Willow was 4.5 years younger than me, and Willow was the opposite of me. She was bigger than life. She was very strong-willed. She was walking into a room and she just lit it up. And she was, as a result, like I said, of kind of what was going on at home, I kind of took on the big sisterly role, protective, and for me, I was a peacemaker in the family. I was the one that tried to make everyone happy. Make my dad happy, then my mom could be happy, and my sister. So I was constantly juggling, trying to make everybody else happy, and people pleasing quite a bit.
Did you long to get out of Calaveras County?
Yes, I did. I had dreams. I mean, don't laugh, but I had dreams. As a young girl, that someday I would be on TV. Isn't that ironic, Mark? I really did. I had a dream that I would someday be on TV, but it was not to be an actress or anything. I really wanted to change people's lives. I really had a desire from as long as I can remember. In fact, my uncle even said he remembers me saying when I was a little girl that I just want to change people's lives. I want to bring people hope. So I've always had that desire, and so I did end up leaving the home at 18. I moved to New York and then to Hollywood, and really just running from my past. I wanted, like I said earlier, to just disconnect from what I viewed as pain and dysfunction, and I think kids do that. We break away, and I didn't appreciate my upbringing at that time like I appreciate it now. I didn't appreciate the hippie lifestyle. I just didn't. But now I do appreciate parts of it.
Looking back, you see that even though there may have been dysfunction, there was some authentic love from mom, dad, and as best they can, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My mom, man, if you ever are lost somewhere in the woods, you want her on your team. My mom, she sewed that teepee by hand. It was beautiful. My mom, every place that we lived, Mark, but whatever we lived in, my mom made it a home. She took care of it beautifully. She took great pride in making in her nest, and my dad was I'm a dreamer in many ways, and my dad was a dreamer too. My dad taught me that, to dream big and to think that there's something in us that can do something big in the world that can make a difference. So yeah, there were definitely good things, and also that sense of community, because all the families out there, we all helped each other. We all helped each other, and there was a big sense of community.
And that may have been your dad's dreamer part, just wanted to see the family come experience something bigger than
Exactly.
what he knew.
Exactly. Yeah, my parents' drive was definitely to live life on their own terms and create a family in their own way.
So when you decided to leave, did you say, I'm done and I'm never coming back? Was that your intention, to go and be a Hollywood star?
It was. It really was, Mark. It was very twisted by that point because I wanted approval and validation. So I thought that I could find that in Hollywood, and many do think that.
Right.
So yeah, I remember, Mark, driving away to Hollywood.
Right.
In my old silver Econoline van that my dad gave me, 1976 faded gray van. And I remember looking in the rear view mirror, and there was my mom and my dad and my sister, and they all had their arms around each other. And I'm driving down the dirt road with my parents in the rear view mirror, and just thinking that was the last I was going to ever come back to that old dusty road. So it really is. It was powerful. I'll never forget the look in their eyes. My parents were seeing their daughter go, you know, and my sister seeing her big sister go.
So, the dreamer of your dad, you head off to dream and follow your dreams. While your mom's there at the nest of the home, and you have a choice. So I'm going to leave home. I'm never coming back. This is it. My family that I've known, and so the sense of new beginning was real. But was there a sense like, I wonder what will happen with my family? Did you ever feel that in terms of?
Absolutely. In fact, you know, because it's not like I never wanted to see my family again. I just didn't want to go back to that way of living.
Right.
But because of some things that were going on at home, I really was running, Mark.
Right. I think what I'd like to do, Heather, there's a story in your life that goes a little deeper. And when we come back from the break, I'd like for you to pick up with what happens with your family and how it comes back, if we could do that.
Yes,
Alrighty?
absolutely.
So we're coming back with Heather Murdock on Love, Hope, and Faith.